स्वागत है आपका हमारी इस खास पेशकश में। जी बिजनेस पर आमतौर पे हम आपको ऐसी हस्तियों से मिलवाते हैं जो कॉर्पोरेट वर्ल्ड के दिग्गज होते हैं या फिर स्टॉक मार्केट के बड़े नाम होते हैं। लेकिन आज हमारे साथ एक ऐसी हस्ती मौजूद है जो इन कॉर्पोरेट लीडर्स को लीडर बनने में और लीड करने में मदद करती है, इंस्पायर करती है। जी हाँ, सक्सेस स्टोरीज की क्रिएटर हमारे साथ हैं। एक खास मेहमान जी बिजनेस पर खास तौर पर विदेश से आई है हमारे साथ जुड़ने के लिए इस बातचीत में। हमारे साथ हैं रिया लेकी और इनकी नई किताब जो जल्द ही भारत में लॉन्च होने वाली है, सक्सेस इट्स इन योर डीएनए, उस पर हम इनसे बातचीत करेंगे। रिया, थैंक्स फॉर जॉइनिंग अस ऑन जी बिजनेस एंड इट्स अ प्लेजर हैविंग यू ऑन द शो। फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल, आपकी खुद की भी जो जर्नी है दैट्स प्रेटी इंटरेस्टिंग। यू स्टार्टेड फ्रॉम इंडिया, देन यू वेंट अब्रॉड एंड यू सेट अप कॉर्पोरेट डीएनए, यू रिटन बुक and you are assisting a lot of global companies and Indian companies, Fortune 500 companies in, I would say, solving their leadership issues or maybe improving it. लेकिन मेरा जो बेसिक सवाल है वो ये है कि सबसे पहले if you start with this book, इसके लिए इंस्पिरेशन कहाँ से है? Because you've been in this business for quite long, quite some time, and what inspired you to write this book?
Thank you, Mihir. I think one of the biggest inspirations behind the book was the fact that when you talk about leadership, there's a lot of models, concepts, बहुत ज्ञान मिलता है leadership के ऊपर, and then that makes leadership quite a cold clinical subject. मेरा inspiration ये था कि मुझे एक भी book, जब मैं अपने आप को groom कर रही थी, एक भी book ऐसे नहीं मिला जिसमें एक model ना हो। तो लिखना था एक book जिसमें कोई models ना हो, कोई recipes ना हो, सिर्फ वो चीज़ हो जो हमारे अंदर है जिसको हम बाहर ला सकते हैं। So Leadership It's in Your DNA is a book where I talk about the 10 core ingredients that are already within us. So there's no need to go and learn something. There's no need to go and find something. What we have to find is within us. We just need to bring it out. And I found that was quite an empowering concept in leadership. So that was the inspiration behind the book. Other than the fact, I also promised my late grandfather that I would write a book.
You know, if it's within us, and if all of us are, I mean, there's a hidden leader, हम सब में कहीं ना कहीं पे, तो in that case, shouldn't we have many more leaders than what we have right now?
I wish. I think that you're absolutely right. What I would say is the core ingredients are within us, but what we choose to do with them. And the concentration of those ingredients is what makes people different.
Okay.
So let me give you one example. So if you think about the ingredients, they are things, very basic things like emotion, fear, instinct. We all have them. There's nobody on this planet who can say I don't have emotion or I don't have fear or I don't have instinct. But the power of the book through different stories is what we choose to do with them. So I may be a leader who has a lot of emotion and a lot of instinct, but not enough resilience.
Okay. But can we say, since you mentioned that while you were grooming yourself, आपको शायद लगा कि जो available literature था, that was very boring, and that is where the first idea of this book came, and then obviously the promise to your grandfather, but the basic idea of this book or inspiration?
Absolutely. I think I would insult a lot of academics if I said that those books were boring. I think they were helpful, and yes, maybe a little bit boring. But they were one-dimensional because they were very much looking at leadership from an educated, disciplined point of view.
Okay.
That you master the 7 steps or you master the 10 phases. You know, it was very much about that. And it was always, within me when I read it, it always felt quite isolated in the way it presented itself. I think what this book is trying to do is trying to show you that if there is something already within you, your energy to go find it is that much higher. Whereas if I feel that I have to travel a long way to go find something, or if something's not accessible but I need to go find it, my core energy to go and look for it is that much less. So the book is actually more encouragement that you don't have to go far, but do you have the courage to look within.
Okay. Now, I was going through the initial chapters, and one thing which I noticed is there is a very subtle hint, not exactly of spirituality, but you can relate it to maybe theory of karma, somewhere you can relate it to Gita, somewhere you can relate it to the basic Hindu thought process about religion, the basic theory of karma, to maybe simplify. तो ये क्यों दिखता है इसमें? Is it somewhere, I mean, while you were writing it, was it going back somewhere in your mind that okay, fine, yeah, you know, the base. I would say the basic ingredient or the DNA of your book, to maybe put it simply.
It's a great question, and I think only an Indian can ask that. So I like the question a lot. I think the simple answer is you're spot on. There is that kind of philosophy or spirituality in the book, less from a religious point of view, but from a belief in the core human spirit point of view.
Way of life.
Way of life, way of thinking, you know, the kind of cycle of action and reaction. And that way kind of Indian spirituality is in my DNA. And I think for an author to be completely authentic, the tone or the narrative style needs to come from that premise. And that Indianness is within me. So although I was born in London, I am Indian, and you know, I've grown up in India. So I think it's great that you pick up that the book reflects that.
You know, one is the inspiration part. Second is executing it. When you actually sat down, जब आपने लिखने की शुरुआत की होगी इस book को, and it's a different thing thinking that I'll pen down all my experiences or your thought process, and the second is actually doing it. Did you find it difficult at any point? Did you feel कि ये मैंने शुरू तो कर दिया, but what I've got myself into or something like that?
All the time.
Or was it smooth flow?
It was lots of little volcanic eruptions in my mind, you know. So I started, then I went back, and I started again. But there's a little bit of a difference in how I wrote the book. So I didn't organize the book first, but I went and found some very interesting stories. So these ingredients that I'm talking about, which are core in our DNA, like emotion, fear, instinct, rather than me preaching the world about them, I wanted to find some universal stories that had universal appeal. So when I went and interviewed the group CEO of Unilever, or the group CEO of HSBC, or an emerging musician, or a sporting athlete, because it's not just about leaders from the business world, the idea was to first get the stories and then find the storyline.
Okay.
And when I found the storyline, neatly it fell into the 10 ingredients, which are the 10 chapters of the book.
Okay. What we'll do is we'll take one short break. जब ब्रेक से वापस आएंगे तो we'll take this conversation forward in terms of the underlying Indian thought in the book, and in today's global world where even we as a country, as a nation have global inspirations or aspirations, I would say, where do we stand at this point? उस पर बात करेंगे, ब्रेक लेकर जल्द लौटते हैं. रिया जी बनी हुई है हमारे साथ, हम लौटते हैं एक ब्रेक के बाद. ब्रेक के बाद एक बार फिर से आपका स्वागत है. रिया, नाउ द नेक्स्ट क्वेश्चन दैट कम्स टू माय माइंड इज कि this book itself is, I would say, a sort of summary of all your experiences, of all your work in corporate DNA. What is the stark difference between Indian way of leadership or Indian work culture and maybe some of the developed nations, which you can actually maybe give example about?
Indian leaders, I feel, are a lot less complacent than some of their Western counterparts. That's the one thing. The second thing I would say is resilience, the tenacity and the art of bouncing back from a setback. And that's in our DNA as a whole nation, not just Indian leaders, because there are so many setbacks that happen. That's incredible. And I think, you know, again, leaders outside India can really have tons of case studies on how we do that. If you look at it the other way around, I feel that for India to be the next big thing, if you look at the journey from silence, we have gone to a little bit of hesitation, to transformation, and now we are going to be the next big thing. In that journey, some things that I think Indian leaders can learn more of. The first thing I would say is more balance.
Okay.
I think Indians are very emotional, and that's a great strength, but sometimes we overdo the emotional intensity. And balance and grace under pressure is something I think the world outside India and leadership has mastered very well. And I think we could do with a bit of that, definitely.
No, but you still didn't answer my question. The stark difference between now, since you use the term West. So the success stories in West and success stories here. So now maybe you can elaborate a bit about strengths in the success stories of West. That and they might be your clients also. So.
Yes, the first thing I would say is that success stories in corporates in the West, there's a very structured process. Yeah, the thinking is very structured, the governance is structured, the execution is structured. So structure is at the heart of creating a success story. I feel in India, not only is structure lacking, but I think there's a lot of creative tension, which is good in a way. If you can really leverage that, that's good. But that creative tension, if you do too much of it, creates a lot of chaos, and I see that.
Friction.
There's a lot of friction, and it's like a rubber band. The more you stretch it, it'll get stretched, but there's a tipping point where it'll bounce straight back, and I see that with some organizations. So that's one thing. I think structure is the first thing. The second thing which is interesting, and this is my view of India after 15 years, is in the success stories of the West, there's a very distributed sense of power. And I define power as a sense of, self-worth. That distributed sense of power exists across the layers of the organization. In India, if I take a musical analogy, India is more like an orchestra. So there's a very strong conductor, and then you can literally see the layers of management sitting around. And that sense of power distance between the different grades reminds us a little bit in psychology of a slight parent-child relationship. It's changing, but I think the leader is still much, that universal kind of father figure that you look up to who leads the organization. And that has its strengths, but sometimes I think Indian organizations overdo that and managers are not as empowered. Whereas if you look abroad, the level of, constructive challenge in organizations across the layers, the distributed sense of power basis is that much higher, which I think is a very healthy place to be.
So that is what maybe a aspiring Indian, I would say, organization needs to learn from the West?
Absolutely. And it exists, it exists in a lot of companies. But it doesn't exist consistently, and it doesn't exist as the natural DNA. It's more an exception rather than a rule.
Right. Now, जब हम इंडियन सक्सेस स्टोरी की बात करते हैं, and I can give you example of maybe 2008. In fact, what we'll do is I'll slip into a short break, but when we come back, there's a feeling that we are entitled to be the next big thing, or the superpower status is given, as far as there's the thinking. I want to discuss about that, and I also want your global perspective on that. We'll take one short break. जल्द लौटते हैं ब्रेक के बाद. ब्रेक के बाद एक बार फिर से आपका स्वागत है. As we discussed before slipping into break, एक ये जो sense of entitlement है, and now at least थोड़ा कम हुआ है because maybe the way economy has fared or the way governance I would say has failed to some extent. थोड़ा शायद कम हुआ है, but prior to that, during that era of 2007, 8, 9, there was this sense of entitlement that India is the next big thing. We will do 8 to 10% as far as GDP is concerned. We are going to be the largest economy. Even if we do nothing, we'll end up doing 5-6%. ये जो thinking है, one, where does it come from, and two, is it rightly placed, or that earlier thing that you mentioned between confidence and arrogance? So is this bordering somewhere there?
It's a great question. The first and the most honest answer to that question is, where does it come from? It comes from outside India. So this may be controversial what I say, but I think this "we are the best and we'll make it" is also because of the stories, the case studies, the noise, the voices outside India that is saying we will be. So I have been away for the last 15 years. So I have been outside India hearing these, and I can tell you as a first evidence of the point I'm making, that there is a massive and very believable noise outside India that India is the next big thing. And India ticks a lot of boxes when you actually assess it for that. So diversity, ease of language, mindset, the whole globalized way of thinking. Now let's not get to the execution part, but in terms of the initial impression of can it make it, yes, it can make it more than anyone else can. Because India for me is a little mini globe, And in that there are so many layers of inclusion, diversity, ways of thinking, opinions, parties, etc. So yes, it's been born outside.
The second part of this question would be in that case, one is something that happens by design, where you are aiming for it and you do it. दूसरा होता है that it happens by default, that we have the largest middle class, youngest population, consumption which is taking place, and obviously people moving out of poverty line, and then the follow-up consumption which happens. So this sense of design, do you think we lack it as a nation? I'm focusing more on India because currently that's the hot debate going on, running into elections. So
can I add a third factor? It happens by design, it happens by default, and sometimes it happens by pure accident. And I think India's success story is a happy accident, where I don't think we have, going back to my point around structure or design, we haven't designed our success, but we've bumped into it. And that's great. May it continue like that. Where there is a disappointment is having bumped into this pot of gold, which is our success, what are we doing with it, right? I think the view of India, outside India, is a very rosy view. And that's great, because that means the world believes in us. So if you even follow the World Economic Forum and Davos, what's happening, it's very self-assuring to hear what the world thinks of us. But what do we really think of ourselves? And what have we really improved? And I think that's why corporates are a great success story in terms of proving that the new India way or the India growth story remains intact. I think corporations are doing a phenomenal job of injecting more and more belief into the execution of that story. But what is the rest of India doing in terms of the same old issues around inadequate healthcare, education, infrastructure, ICT, all of those things? It's not improving. So when we talk about corporates, I'm all praise, because I think corporates are one of the biggest, which is where my focus is, one of the biggest believable factors in the India growth story.
Right. So there is sense of disappointment as far as society is concerned. The corporates might be doing well, but maybe on the social side there could be disappointment.
Absolutely.
Anyways, coming back to corporates. Now, can you pick and describe maybe one or two favorite corporations or leaders or success stories, because your book is full of success stories actually, not only corporate success stories but even sports and musicians, and there's whole range. Your favorite picks among these case studies?
There are many. Unilever, I think, is a great success story for a number of reasons. And Unilever is, in my book, across the range of ingredients. I think Unilever's way of, and I mean Hindustan Lever, including the Indian side of it, way of moving along with the consumer, moving along with the middle class, which is a massive, massive focus for India, moving along with the change of demographics and change of customer psyche, has been phenomenal. I feel Unilever, a lot of companies shapes its products, but I think in the case of Unilever, the nation has shaped Unilever. So the nation's changing psyches, habits, how they brush their teeth, to how they look in the mirror, to what products they use. This has shaped the organization. So Unilever is a great story. I think Mahindra, as I said, is a phenomenal story around, tenfold growth, and it has a very, very strong moral compass. So I think in today's world, when the world around you is fairly crooked, but you remain straight, that's very hard. So I think, Mahindra is brilliant. I mean, there are so many stories. So,
I mean, obviously Unilever is a global entity, but
globally, I'm very proud of the HSBC story. I'm proud of the HSBC story because of the history, the legacy, the lineage, but also HSBC's ability. Maybe this is a very good case in point. HSBC's ability to admit the mistakes it makes and learn from that is phenomenal. And I think in leadership, admitting mistakes or putting your hands up and saying, I made a mistake, or I failed, or I took that risk and failed, is a great sign of positive vulnerability. If you can on stage show that you're vulnerable, it makes you human, and customers, consumers, the world around you wants to believe you more. The other one that I would pick is Pfizer, the pharmaceutical industry. Pharmaceutical is an extremely, sometimes it feels like a very thankless industry to be in. If you look at the supply chain, the value chain, it's very unpredictable. It's very R&D focused. And that's a point I want to make about Indian farmers, is Pfizer's ability to continue to believe in the future despite lack of short-term results. That tenacity, that patience, I think is a great example to countries like us and to the rest of the corporate world.
Not exactly closing remarks, but if I have to ask you last question, so that would be, what is your next big challenge? Maybe is it a new book? Is it a new geography that you are targeting? Is it new business vertical, I would say, you are targeting? What is it?
I don't know if it's a challenge or an adventure, but I have a few adventures next in mind, and I'll possibly share three of them. To make leadership more accessible and more interesting in the corporate world, what we've started doing, and I want to really focus on it more and more, is how do we use, how can we actually measure the level of fitness, not just using physical fitness, but really using the fitness of a board members or an organizations or a leader's decisions, their choices. How fit is the decision? How fit is the choice? So I really want to bring sports fitness into actually the DNA of leadership. Our choices, our actions, our instinct, our decisions. So that direct link, and in a very scientific way, I'm a big believer in science, of proving that there's a direct link between fitness and productivity. But fitness is not just about going to the gym. Fitness is about the choices we exercise, the decisions we make. So that's one thing. The second thing is, I'm very keen to use film as a media to really create inspiration. I think film is something that will never go out of fashion. The ability to sit back in the cinema and watch something that is larger than life has a very moving impact. It did in our forefathers' generations. It will continue to always be so. The third is, I have a very diverse team. So there are Irish, British, Canadian, Indian, in the team itself. I think the one thing I would want to do is make sure that in the next 3 years, Corporate DNA currently has offices in London, Singapore and India, that it actually really looks at 3 other emerging markets. Why I'm doing that is because I want to show that leadership is just as accessible in the lesser heard countries as it is in the developed countries.
Alright, so that's your next big inspiration or aspiration, I would say. All the best for that. And it's been a pleasure having you on the show. उम्मीद करते हैं कि अगली बार जब आपसे मुलाकात होगी, and I hope it will be soon for our viewers, तो या तो नई बुक के बारे में होगी या तो फिर आपके नए किसी वेंचर के बारे में. All the best for that. Thanks.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.